are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, very good. Well, we have a pretty good amount of people on, so we can go ahead and get started. We have a couple special guests here today. And again, my name is Kirsten Fossler. I'm the president of the board for Success North Dallas Young Executives. And we are a part of Success North Dallas, which is run by the one and only Bill Wallace. So I'd love to give you a minute or two to say hello.
Hey, good morning. I'm Bill Wallace, and 31 years ago, my two mentors told me I needed to do something to set myself apart from the herd. And thus we started Success North Dallas. And the beauty of this whole thing is that our members have started 98 companies, 1,000 jobs, 7 Ernst & Young Entrepreneurs of the Year. We've had some of the best speakers come in from all over the world. We don't pay speakers or speakers' expenses. But I think one of the things I'm the most proud of are our Success North Dallas Young Executives, because our qualifications for membership or be a success in your own eyes. Nobody has the right to define what success is for you. Honor your commitments. Let's go back to the handshake and be a giver. It's all about our fellow men and women. And I think the beauty of the whole thing is you young executives have blown me away with what you've done, the growth, calling up Craig Hall saying, can we meet in your boardroom, end up doing a wine tasting, the way you've weathered this COVID-19 storm. I am so proud of you all. And I think it's one of the true crown jewels. You are one of the true crown jewels of Success North Dallas. If you look behind me, you see the logo. And success is what we all aspire to. The interconnecting C's are how we do it. Connecting the right people for the right reasons at the right time. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly what you all are doing. And I couldn't be prouder. So with that, I'm going to say have a great meeting. Your speaker is superb. Networking is one of the best topics right now. And then the virtual game is unbelievable. So with that, may you do what you love to do with people you love to do it with on purpose. God bless and Godspeed. And have a good meeting.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, well, I want to introduce our speaker for today, Miss Ashley Owens. We are so excited to have her here. She has the coolest job, in my opinion. She actually goes out with professionals and networks with them at events, conferences, meetings, and everything. And so she has done all that in person and has done everything online, virtually. And now that our worlds have all been flipped upside down and we are now doing most of our networking online on Zoom calls and virtually, we want to really talk about how we can pivot and get some tips from Ashley on how to not suck at virtual networking. So let's help me welcome Ashley.
Thank you all very, very much. Bill, I have never met you before. This is the first time I got a chance to be graced with your presence. And sir, I would love to have a beer with you at some point in my life, because the amount of wisdom I think that comes from you would be exceptional. So please, if I ever come back, done? Perfect. Wonderful.
Done.
Beautiful. You remind me of somebody that I grew up with that I cared very much about. So I'm going to stop sucking up to Bill. But next. Thank you everybody for joining me today. I just want to thank Kirsten for reaching out to me and having me come and present to you guys. I speak for a living, so I go and before the pandemic I was going to keynotes and I was doing a lot of conferences, and now with the virtual opportunities have now expanded, I've done a lot more pro bono work because I truly enjoy what I do and I love doing it for groups of this nature. So when she came to me and we jived really well together, and I think we're like little puppies where we get very, very excited when we see each other for the first time, and then when we talk, so it's kind of we're both exhausted. So if you see me kind of pass out, it's because it's just the energy that Kirsten and I have. Okay, so this is going to be interactive and it's going to be fast paced, and there's going to be a chock full of information. The whole point of this presentation is for you to cherry pick things that work best for you, because networking is a personal activity, not a one size fits all. So what that means is that when you understand your networking style, which what we will go through, I want you guys to cherry pick things that pique your interest, and then that way you can cultivate your own strategy by the time you leave. There's going to be a slide with tools and resources and a lot of things and templates and such. I'm going to give all of that to you guys afterwards. I didn't tell Christian this yet, but I'm going to give you all that to you afterwards, as well as a couple of other webinars that I've done with a subject matter expert in LinkedIn. So you guys will have a ton of resources. Don't worry about taking notes. You're going to get a ton of stuff afterwards. So that means that you get to participate. So if you've got questions, or if you just want to fight me in the chats, I'd be happy to. We'll have a good time, and let me know any questions that you have or anything you'd like to expand on. Okay. So thank you all again for joining. We have about 36 people on, so please don't bombard, but we'll make it work. All right. Oh, that's my dumb face. Okay, so let's just give some background on me. These are fun facts just to kind of break the ice a little bit. I am originally from North Jersey. I'm a fast talker. I apologize. It's just the way that I've been brought up with sisters, and the person who talks the loudest and the fastest gets heard, so I apologize for that. And Jersey has the best bagels. All the Jews and the Italians come from New York, and they hang out and they plop themselves in North Jersey, and then I have the best kind of bagels in the morning. I will fight you on that unless you are from New York. I have no kids, but a very, very, very fat cat. If you hear a small child crying over this webinar, it is not a child, it is a cat. It's my fat cat wanting second lunch, which he will not get because he's on a diet and the vet fat shamed him. I'm just projecting because I need to remind myself not to feed him when he cries. I was previously a celebrity personal assistant, and the best thing that I can tell you about that is that it's just like The Devil Wears Prada, and I still have unpaid therapy bills because it was out of control. I've competed in CrossFit competitions, which just means I can pick stuff up and put stuff down. I wasn't very good. When I was good, I can deadlift 225 pounds, which is a large man. But I also came in 31st place out of 34. I survived it, okay? I survived the competition. That was my only goal. Karaoke champ 2016, very proud of that. Tequila was involved. I've been in 12 movies as an extra, which means that the only cool skill that when I started my career in entertainment, I worked and interned for a casting agency, and they couldn't pay me because they were like up and coming. So they put me on movie sets as an extra, and the only cool skill that I was able to obtain was the fact that I could sleep on any hard surface. Because when you're non-union, the difference is that you actually work longer hours. So I have this weird acquired skill that I could just put my head back on the wall and be totally fine and pass out. I'm the best. Sit down. I see you laughing, and it's making me laugh. So that's the only cool skill besides networking that I really know how to do. Oh, and I once ate a Carolina Reaper. I'm just looking at your faces. Does anybody know what a Carolina Reaper is? Oh, owner. What is a Carolina Reaper for the people in the back?
Carolina Reaper. My name is Carson Fowler, by the way. I don't know owner, but it's a super hot pepper.
It's a super hot pepper. It's probably the worst, best decision I've ever made. Made for a great story, but it's not. I do not recommend it. It was a very bad thing. Tequila was also involved in that instance. So just please don't offer me tequila. Okay. All right, so here we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty. I'm glad I got all your attention. Any questions? I have 2 screens here, so if you guys have questions, I can see the chat, throw them in, and we'll make this work. Cool. Here's the agenda for today. We're going to go through the reality of networking. Steps to get started, knowing yourself, right? Knowing who you are, knowing your audience, planning your work and working your plan, the tools and the resource attached to those networking activities, and then questions on how I can help. All right, here's the problem with people, because people suck sometimes. It's pretty bad. So here's what the norm is right now, right? These are just things that we know to be true. Non-essential workers are operating virtually. Then you've got people, when you're trying to figure out how to operate virtually, not having any clue how to join a webinar or how to join a Zoom meeting, even though they've received a ton of messages and just need to scroll down in the email. It is the most frustrating thing of all time. I understand your frustration, and I understand that we all have to teach everybody how to do technologies. I understand it. But this is what the norm is now, so we have to adapt. Then you've got the people, then you have to figure out, like, when is it appropriate to reach out, especially right during the pandemic where things, and people were getting furloughed, losing their jobs. You know, when is it the right time to reach out to see if you can connect? You know, who are you connecting with, and, you know, are you still able to push your product or your service? It's a little bit strange, a little bit scary, because you're trying to be as perceptive as possible and as cognizant as possible, but right now that's kind of on an uneasy plane. And then, are pants optional? The fact that I even have to say this is out of control. Everybody please wear your pants during the Zoom calls. I'm not gonna lean into that new trend. So please put on some pants. Cool. All right, so here's the reality. I'm glad, Bronwyn, I love how you laugh, and I'm just gonna stare at you the whole time because you're boosting my ego. Here's the reality, folks. Only people who genuinely care are going to talk to you. As you are building your network, a group of champions are defined as people who advocate for you when you're not in the room. These are people who will go to bat for you, they will say nice things, but they will also refer you and introduce you to people that are like-minded. In order for you to build this list of people, they gotta hit these top 3 criteria from the get-go. So before you even have anybody else enter into your group of champions, this is the reality of who you wanna enter into that space. So only people who genuinely care, as a reminder, are going to talk to you, right? Only people who genuinely care are gonna wanna help you anyway. So they're not going to ask you, and they're not gonna do a tit for tat type thing. If they want to help you, they will help you. If you intentionally give them ways to help you, that's only going to help the activity to actually help you. But also remember, like, only people who genuinely care about you are going to ask for realistic favors. These realistic favors aren't like, hey, can you drop $5 grand on a sponsorship for a thing that's not happening until 2027? Like, that's not a realistic favor, okay? It's important to recognize that unless these people fit this criteria, these top 3 criteria, they're not worth putting into your space, okay? We do not have time for idiots in our lives. We do not have time for people who like to suck the life out of us. Now more than ever, people are very intentional about the people that they network with, because right now, that's what we need. We need that human-to-human interaction. Okay, here's a question. What's the maximum number of people we can maintain relationships and have social interactions with? Put your number in the chat. No whammies, no whammies, no whammies. What do you guys think? 20. Owen, nice try. 40, close. Keep going. 15. Brian, I only like 5 people in my life. Brahman, you were closer. All the numbers, 200. Kirsten. Okay, 150. Too many numbers. It's 150 people in your space, and I'll tell you why this is important and where this number comes from. This is a theory from a British anthropologist. His name was Robin Dunbar. According to this theory, the tightest circle of people are just 5. These are loved ones. That's followed by a successive layer of 15 good friends, 50 friends, 150 meaningful connections, 500 acquaintances, and 1,500 people that you can recognize. So people will migrate in and out of these layers, and the idea is that the space has to be carved out for any new people to enter into those slots. If you exceed 150, a network is unlikely to last long or even mesh or cohere well. So take the pressure off. You do not need to meet every Joe, Dick, and Harry. What you have to do is you have to be intentional about the people that your brain and the capacity in your brain can actually manage. So I'm not saying 150 is the end all be all. I'm saying that's around the number. I mean, you can have 83 people that are rock solid in that space, but recognize that you really can't go above that. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time. So, story time. This is one of my favorite stories. Does anybody know who William Dawes is? I see your lovely faces. Just shake yes or no. No? Nope. Devin, no? Sadat, I feel like you have all the answers in your head. Nope. Okay. Did I stump Sadat? Perfect. Okay. So here's story time. Paul Revere and William Dawes did the exact same thing. One rode north, the other rode south, but one raised a militia. And the reason why that is because William Dawes was not an information broker. Paul Revere was an information broker. This is a person who occupies a key role in social network by connecting unrelated groups of people. Because Paul Revere targeted well-connected people during his ride, his news then spread wildly and quickly, right? So William Dawes, again, was not the information broker. He had no idea what doors to knock down. He just rode and did his thing. But the moral of the story is that take this concept into consideration with your skill sets or your businesses. If the information isn't delivered to the right people, it's going to fall into obscurity like William Dawes. So as you're putting out your message, are you putting it in and being intentional about the right people that are listening to it? Or are you out there like an Instagram model with her junk in the trunk, just doing whatever she wants to get more attention? You want to be that Instagram model. You don't want to be that person. You want to be the person that's going to activate a better message and be intentional about the people who receive that message. Any questions so far, folks? Cool, let's keep moving. All right. So everything on the right-hand side that you see, when we talk about your goal to networking virtually, these are all actual networking activities. So ask yourself, out of all of these, what is your goal? If you say all of them, great. If you say some of them, no problem, we'll add to it. But what I want you to recognize is that you are not just building relationships because everybody says, build relationships. So obnoxious. If you can talk to somebody, have a good conversation, you can build a relationship. You're not idiots, you're adults, you can do that, okay? But how do you nurture that relationship? What activities do you do? So on the right-hand side, you have things like, hey, if your goal is building engagement on your LinkedIn profile, how are you actually building engagement? Are you speaking thoughtfully on different topics that are versatile to your network? Are you staying in front of your current network with thoughtful content? Are you educating the audience that you have? Your connections on LinkedIn are the people and are the audience that are in your sphere of influence. Let me tell you something. Facebook's algorithm and LinkedIn's algorithm are obviously different. LinkedIn is what Facebook was 10, 15 years ago, which means more eyes are seeing things on LinkedIn. But do not post your pictures, do not post your children. I don't care about the house you just bought. Nobody cares. But be intentional about the content you put out there by education. You are the subject matter expert in your field. You want to put out content in that space. Are you reaching out to past clients and checking in? Have you reached out to past clients and said, hey, I know that things are pretty crazy right now. How can I help you? What do you need? And it could be completely separate from being a professional service. It could be a resource. It could be an introduction that they didn't know that they had, completely separate. But how are you reaching out to the past clients and checking in? Okay. Are you learning and developing a new skill from a local subject matter expert? Probably not. So, like, reaching out to those people that are better, you know, now that from human interaction, and craft your presentation profile to make it so that way you're easily searchable. And then are you nurturing your networking by staying engaged with their content? There's a great tool or a great process called the dollar method. And we'll go into that later on. Aspect of that, I'll show you how it works. Cool. Here's who the top 3 groups to network with. Okay, you've got strategic partners. These are people who are professionals that are in a complementary field. They share the same target market as you. So think of like a real estate agent and a divorce lawyer nowadays are great strategic partners because if someone's getting divorced, they're typically downsizing or upgrading, depending on the agreement, and they are working together in that space. The one thing as you build up your strategic partners, you want to make sure that the referrals, or at least the criteria of client, is transferable between the two. You don't want one person just giving the other person a referral if you can't give them one. So think about consistency in those introductions. Subject matter people that are putting out so much content right now because they have to be relevant. They have to be relevant. They have to keep their audience engaged. And I cannot tell you, there are courses out there. There are people that are giving out so much free stuff right now. So take advantage of that, especially in a topic or a subject matter, even in your own industry, that's better than you, because there's going to be people out there that are better than you. Your current network. Listen, if you've got business cards, On your desk, I'm not looking at mine. I'm actually just grabbing a pile of my own business cards. But if you're looking at, oh, there's a one coupon. Anyway, business cards on your desk. If you have that are not yours and you've done nothing with them for the past month, throw them out. You've done nothing to nurture that network. Not one thing. So why are you keeping all that stuff on your table, right, on your desk? The people that you want to reach out to in your current network are people that you know, that you like, and that you trust. And that doesn't take 2 meetings. That takes 5 to 6 before somebody builds up the know, like, and trust factor. And within this presentation, you can learn about different ways of doing that. Cool. All right, how to communicate effectively. So these are great tips to just be aware when you're having these introduction conversations and networking. You want to make sure that you're communicating effectively in a way that is intentional. So making your name memorable. What does that mean? You're giving yourself permission to engage in a way that's a bit vulnerable. It's important to understand that you can make yourself memorable without peacocking it on a Zoom call. You don't have to walk in and be like, hey guys, how's it going? And be like a shifty person. Don't be a show pony. Making your name memorable means how are you memorable to that one person? If you have the pleasure and the privilege of talking to somebody new, to engage with them on their business and to allow them to show you their passion, that's a vulnerable activity, and either you've earned it or you deserve it. So understand that moment in time is extremely important, and everybody gets that 15 minutes. You have to recognize those one-on-one interactions. Like, how lucky are we that we get to network? End the conversation with the future in mind. I swear to Christ, if you guys do not follow up and just leave things just out willy-nilly, you're doing no activity that's helpful with your networking and growth potential. Ending a conversation with the future in mind means, hey, by the way, what is the call to action after we have this conversation? What is the call to action after we interact on LinkedIn? Always have the next step in your mind, like, hey, in a month, I'd love to check in. Can we throw something on the calendar? Or, you know what? I'm going to send you over a resource and this introduction. I would love to hear your feedback. Or, I created this PDF. Would you mind giving me your feedback on it? Always end the conversation with the future in mind, because there's an opportunity where you can build the know, like, and trust factor with the right activities. Next, plan structured next step conversations. Look, I'm a big fan of agendas. I don't always do them, but people are very appreciative of it, at least giving context to what you want to talk about the next time around. Pay attention the first time you talk to somebody, because the second time it's going to be more intentional. Recognize storytelling opportunities. Nobody cares what you do. Nobody gives a damn. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares. Nobody cares what I do. Nobody cares what Sadat does. Nobody cares what Carson does. Nobody cares. What they care about is how you made them feel, obviously. But every environment that we're in now is so heavily saturated. How are you identifying ways for people to remember you by? So with storytelling opportunities, people cognitively pay more attention to a story rather than, well, I sell insurance and I can save you money on your car. Too much. When you tell a story about how you took a problem and you fixed it, that then triggers the problem for that person that you can fix, which then will resonate more the next time they hear the same kind of problem that somebody else has. So think of a case study and turn it into a conversation piece and tell a story about how you fix something. Build a diverse network. I'm going to say that for the people in the back. Build a diverse network. I've been doing this training for about 2 years now, and I cannot tell you how important it is to build a diverse network. We naturally network with people that look like us. It is a common thing. It's human behavior, right? Now, more than ever, build a diverse network. Join the LGBTQ communities, join the Black communities, the Asian communities, join the trans, whatever it may be, whatever group that makes you, that you wouldn't otherwise join because it's just not, not like-minded in that space. I challenge you to join a group. Be a part of it. See what different cultures, with different ethnicities, with everything. You have no idea what opportunities lie. My one girlfriend, her name is Bridget Battle. She's an amazing stylist. She's crazy. She's out of her mind. She's brilliant. I cannot tell you the energy that she brings. She's on the board of the Asian Women's Power Networking Group. She's on the board, hanging out. She goes, everybody loves me. And I just hang out there and I do whatever I need to do. And she crushes it because she's not afraid to jump into an environment that's uncomfortable just for a second, but it's it's such a bias that we don't even realize that we have until we think about, oh, I need to make a cognitive effort to do that. Build a diverse network. Do it. Track the value of networking activities. If you do not have a CRM system, which is a client relationship management system, or an Excel file, or somewhere to keep track of your stuff, then are you even networking? Because if your trash brain forgets the things that you told the Karens, the Joes of the world that you were going to follow up with, and then you forget, then you're the person that flakes. You're the person that doesn't follow up actively. So make sure you track it somehow, and I've got some great tools and resources to help you with that. Okay, here are some pro tips. Okay. So follow hashtags. This is the $80 method I was talking about. This is coming from Gary Vaynerchuk. He's the guy, Gary V, he's the entrepreneur. Yep, so everyone knows him, perfect, awesome. He has a specific way of being able to comment thoughtfully on different hashtags. It was originally started with Instagram, but it was transferable to LinkedIn. So what you do is that you put your 2 cents, you follow about 5 to 10 hashtags. You put your 2 cents on the trending hashtags that are relevant to your industry. Comment thoughtfully, that's great, but honestly comment like you're a human and not like a robot. Go in there and be a human. The reason why is that you're going to build more engagement that way by seeing yourself as a subject matter expert on those educational posts. The connections will come because people are interested in your perspective because they're on posts that are viewed by a lot more. The reason why that's important is because once you start building those connections, then you can open the door for a 15-minute introduction call. So it just kind of gives you an opportunity they're opting in to chat, so open the door for it. So you put your 2 cents, and again, on these topics, it's the $80 method. So it's basically up to $1.80 every day. That's intense, even for me, and I do this for a living. So you do it in bite-sized micro doses without drugs. Okay, everyone is an idiot. Next slide, just kidding. So everyone is an idiot. Following up is your responsibility. Nobody else's. Because you took this class, you do not let anybody else follow up. Meaning, do not think that they're going to do it because everyone's an idiot. You, however, are not. So, when you follow up though, or when you reach out intentionally, here we're going to take it a step above. If you reach out and say things like, let me know if you'd like to chat, or how can I help you? Take those 2 out of your vernacular. Because what you're saying is, I didn't take the time to think through what I can do for you, nor what you can do for me. So take your level and bump it up a notch and control that conversation in a way that is resourceful and valuable. Give them a reason to follow up. Give yourself a reason to follow up. But don't just say, how can I help you? Because we fall into that because you're expecting them to give you ways to follow up. So think through it first, ask the question if this is okay, and then you get to the next step. Personal versus professional, guys, right now, things are more personal right now, which is okay. This means that you're going to have a chance to share conversations that are more candid and more vulnerable, and that's what makes us human, okay? So empathy and kindness, which have always been critical, are very essential right now. And then avoid the one-time reach outs. These are like, let's go on a virtual coffee date one time and never talk again. Like, ooh, I can't do it. It's too much. I get too much Zoom fatigue and I have so much coffee running through my veins. I can't do it at 3:30 in the afternoon. I want to start drinking. Like, stop with the virtual phone calls. See, even my camera's mad at me. So what's important to recognize, like, just like in-person coffee dates, it can be a lot. You got to go down in the city. You got to go down where you're like, it's too much. You got to do my hair. But my hair isn't great. It's like, it's an aggressive situation, just a lot of stress that you don't need. The same thing with coffee dates is the same thing with virtual coffee dates as well. You want to make your key virtual check-ins recurring so that you're not, so you're able to get in touch with people repeatedly throughout this pandemic experience. But just as an in-person coffee, like, be sure to execute on any follow-ups and any homework from the conversation. So those follow-ups actually have intention behind it. Cool. All right. You guys will get these, so don't worry about writing any of this stuff down. These are DMBCs, deep, meaningful business conversation questions. These are questions that you can ask people during your introduction phone calls. I don't know why my nose is so itchy. I don't have corona, I promise. I think it's just allergies. But the DMBCs are super important because if you are going to ask these questions, you also better sure as hell be able to answer them as well. So my two favorite out of this list is, when someone picks up the phone to call you, what problem are they having? This is my favorite question to ask because this can open up a can of worms, get people really into like what the problems that they fix, rather than what do you do? Can't do that anymore. I'm over that. We're going to step it up another level. And the other one that I really like is that you might get a little pushback on this because not everybody who's in a small to medium-sized business technically does this all the time, is how do you educate your audience? The educating of the audience allows people not only to see the service offerings, but what value you bring before they even purchase your services. So, and honestly, you can help them out. Be like, hey, do you do any presentations? And like, there could be collaboration opportunities there. You know, do you push out content on social media? Oh, I'd be happy to share it for you if you'd like. That takes 2 seconds. That's a value add. That's a follow-up activity. That's a networking activity. So it kind of stems from the one area and then kind of builds up this beautiful mind wall of how everybody gets connected. Backing on the hashtag bits too, like you want to hashtag things that are relevant to your industry and consistently. I specialize in educating my audience in all of my social media. That is my #1 goal. I think it's because I want people to like me and I want to give a lot of value. I don't know. I have to talk about it in therapy. Anyway, with the hashtags, it's important to recognize that like if you go in with intention behind the kinds of hashtags that you follow, as well as the hashtags that are relevant to your industry, then you get a chance to meet people like Kirsten who find you just by typing in #virtual networking, and here I am. So I am proof that it works. Cool. Next, you guys will get these questions or get these DMBCs to you so you can use it as a guide. Okay, tools and resources. Strap in, baby. All right, so we've got LinkedIn, HubSpot, Calendly, Hio, Evernote. Just kidding, let's go back. So these are all the tools that I use on a daily basis. We talked about the CRM tool, which captures information and contact information. What's important about that, it keeps your trash brain aligned. I mean, we all have trash brain. We all have 1,000 things we're doing. We're all at home with their kids, their families, with their fat cats, whatever it may be. Having a place to kind of conjugate all of the contact information and what your follow-ups would be is very helpful. HubSpot is free to use. And it connects to your calendar, and it also connects to your emails as well. So you can kind of keep track of that too. It also has a really good sales pipeline, so you can kind of play around with it too. It's pretty simple. And they've got plenty of testimonials and tutorials to help. It's pretty simple to use, especially when you connect everything. If you take anything from this presentation today, and I swear to Christ, I have to get a referral agreement with these people because I have given them so much business. Calendly is the #1 tool that I use on a daily basis. This tool, and this, I think it's like $14 a month, it connects to the it connects and shows only available times on my calendar. So I send a link to somebody that's interested in connecting. I said, hey, I use this link to schedule my networking calls. Please find a time that works best for you. You just saved 14 million hours going back and forth about what time on Friday works for you 7 weeks from now. I'm telling you, it's life-changing and you're working smarter, not harder. I like it also because it aggregates all of the data that you gather. So like when they fill out the form to like schedule something on your calendar, they take a time, you add in how did we meet and what would you like to talk about? Now you're prepped before the meeting so you know how they found you. And 2, you can pull out where you've met them or what networking activity is being the most fruitful. So you can see, do they come from LinkedIn? Do they come from a referral? If they came from a referral, guess what? Your trash brain isn't going to remember. So you pull the data and see every quarter who gave you the most introductions, and then maybe, just maybe, you nurture that person and take them out to lunch or give them a gift card or say, thank you so much for this, because now you are an intentional power networker. You're giving credit where credit is due, and you have the data for the success of it. I'm sweating, hold on. Okay, the next one is Hio. It's called Hit It Off. Hit It Off at hiosocial.com is a tool that you can do virtual events and you can actually communicate with attendees within the app. It's a free app to use. It's fantastic. I know the owner, he's fantastic. And you can communicate with other attendees in, let's say, this virtual meeting or the group that you guys have. And you can share contact information. You can also have, as an event planner, you can push out push notifications. And again, on both the event side and the person side and the attendee side, it's free to use. They just have upgrades that are pretty cool, and they're always making adjustments every day. They're phenomenal. It's a great tool to use. And they give you suggestions for follow-ups, which is great. So they're going to run me out of business in the next 6 months, but that's fine. Evernote, just kidding, I'm awesome. Evernote is also another great tool to use. Evernote allows me to build templates. Basically, it's like notes on steroids, and it connects to my computer as an application too. So like I can pull up different notebooks from conversations that I've had and templates that I've saved for LinkedIn. So I'm sitting on the couch after a long day watching Ozark and figuring out if that's my family or not. You can go through and you can submit the templates when you connect with people on LinkedIn, and I'll show you what those templates look like. It's very helpful to go back and forth, and because trash brain, I have a notebook that's specifically for introductions to make. So every Friday I go through that list and say, oh, I told this person on Monday and Tuesday I'd make the intro. I let them know I'd make the intro on Friday so I don't forget. It keeps you organized and it keeps you accountable. Okay, so this is the creepiest tool on the internet. So this tool is called, I know Kristen, it's a little intense. If anybody's taken a DISC assessment, a DISC profile. These are emotional intelligence assessments. Okay, most of you have. It's an emotional intelligence assessment that identifies how you make decisions and how you communicate. So it shows you what you'll never be good at, and it shows you what you gravitate towards. I will never be good at math. So many things I will never be good at. Math is one of them, right? But what this tool does is that it educates you on how to communicate with somebody else, let's say using their LinkedIn profile. So as on the right-hand side, what you can see is on my profile, you can see that it's a plugin that allows you to see the person's suggested personality. And then you also see templates on how to communicate with that person. So let's say I used this when I was working in sales, but let's say you're trying to prospect somebody who's a very high D, which is a very dominant personality. I will throw in as many exclamation points and fluff words as possible because that's my personality. Somebody who's a CEO level will not appreciate that, right? No problem, but I'm being very cognizant of communicating with them effectively. So this is a nice like little cheat to be able to see how to communicate, so that way the messaging is just more effective. And plus, I pull this information for all of my coaching clients, so I know how to educate them in the way that they learn rather than the way that I speak. So it's a great way, especially if any of you guys are coaches here, to use, so you can kind of get to know your audience a little bit better. But this is pulling the DISC profile, and you guys will get a link to Crystal Knows as well. I think there's a cool trial you can take. I think it's like 14 days or something to test it out. It's creepy as hell, but it works. Okay. Oh, so remember I was talking about the Calendly analytics? This is what I pulled. So this is just to show you what it came from. So I have math, apparently. I gotta write this down. Math is not my strong suit. So I think this is like about 300 calls I made in 2018. And 144 came from specific people that said, you need to talk to Ashley. It's 144 referrals, which means all of my activity in networking and my introductions that I was giving was being fruitful. I swore up and down for 2 quarters that my magnificent newsletter was bringing in the money. One person was like, maybe I should just get to know Ashley and her crazy antics. Yeah, so I dropped so much time building this beautiful newsletter and actually went to more events because it just, you saw the data. It helps you become more, again, I'm going to use the word intentional, more intentional about who you're talking to. Oh, my sister's FaceTiming me. Say hi, everybody. Just kidding. So the next bit to that is the templates. Okay. So here's, again, just proof of that these metrics work. How to respond to, so, okay, say you do the $80 method, it's fantastic, you start getting new connections, open the door for a conversation because these people are opting in to talk to you. Some of them might be sales calls. Obviously, use your best judgment to make sure that you're not getting scammed or having sales calls. But what's important to recognize is that in this template, which I use directly, I will send you the template, Bill. You don't have to take pictures of it. I got you covered. I just see a camera. Bill, you crushing it. Okay, so the link, when somebody sends you a LinkedIn request, this is the template that I use that works about 75% of the time. The reason why it's there is because all I'm doing is asking for an introduction phone call and letting them know that this is not a sales call, and here's a link to my calendar. That way, if they don't ever respond, then that's okay. Then I just remove them because they haven't made any intention to also connect with me. If you open the door, you do this every day on all of your connections after you build up that, that activity using the $80 method, your calendar is going to look like somebody threw up on it, like mine does. You have a responsibility, especially in networking, to make someone's day. At the very baseline of it, at the very baseline of the human behavior, we are privileged to be able to network. So what's important about that is that you have no idea whose day that you're making, whose resource is saving their business, whose connection is helping them grow. You have no idea. I can give you one example because this is the last slide. The conclusion. I'll give you one story because you guys can read this on your own. These are pretty much self-explanatory. But when I used to work, I was in New York. I came back. I thought I had messed up in the entertainment business. Not messed up, but New York chewed me up and spit me out. Came back and I was a waitress for 3 years, which was my favorite job because it was an influx of people and I had no idea that I was working a muscle, learning different personalities and understanding the value of building a network, because better tips I got, the regulars that I got, it ended up building a better network for myself. Gentlemen came in. 4 guys came in, set up my booth, and we ended up talking. They asked me, hey, what kind of burger would you like, what do you think we should get? And I just kind of riffed and started comparing their personalities to burgers and, having a good time, just enjoying myself and not thinking anything of it. I was also at the lowest point in my life because I thought I had failed in the entertainment business working as a personal assistant. So it was one of those things where I had nothing to lose and I was just enjoying myself for the day to make the day go by faster. So that day after they paid, they say, hey, Ash, can you send us your resume? It's like, okay, thanks guys, but show it in the tip. Appreciate it. Didn't believe them whatsoever. I just thought they were being nice. The next day, that same guy came back, talked to my boss and said, can you bring Ashley over here? He came over, he said, we never received your resume. I was like, oh shit, okay. So the next day I went, or a week later, I turned on New York. So I wasn't New Jersey Diner Ashley. It was a very different personality that I hid away for so long. You guys can hear me? Okay. So great. So what was important about that was I went in for the interview, and in a week I had a 401k, a salary, and then within 3 months I was the highest grossing salesperson for an online e-commerce furniture company. The reason why that is important is because one person gave me a shot. And the reason why I'm sitting here today, 18 jobs later after graduation, is because those guys gave me a shot. Because they spent the time to learn my story for however long it was. You have no idea what could change your life or whose life you can change. So don't ever turn down a phone call because you have no idea what impact you have, especially if you go into those conversations with the best intentions. So please know that your networking activity is based off of your personality, who you are as a person, because people buy from people. So you're the most important thing. The person that you're talking to is also the most important thing. So build up your network in a way that makes you proud, because you're building an army of champions that will advocate for you when you're not in the room. And that, sweaty McSweatpants over here, is all that I have for today. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ashley. You are the best. And I understand now why that guy wanted to hire you. You are so dynamic, so hilarious. You're amazing. So thank you for coming to speak for us today. And does anybody have any questions for her right now?
Talk it up. I need more attention.
You can just feel free to unmute yourself and talk. No need to put it in the chat.
I have one.
Hi.
Ashley, it's Bill.
Yes. Hi, Bill.
The other Bill, the one without the camera. As you see us coming through this, when do you think you'll actually be going back to in-person presentations?
From what I've seen trending wise, a lot of conferences, even in September, October, right now are being canceled, or at least turned into a virtual activity. I personally don't see anything really going back to normal until next year. Until conferences and until I mean, concert halls are allowing people back in. It might be difficult to really gauge. I personally don't see it happening this year. What I do see is smaller groups getting together once you can go back out to restaurants and things like that. But let's say you guys have like a Christmas party that's with the entire company. I don't foresee that happening. I know that all of the conferences right now, the next conference I was supposed to be speaking at was in Raleigh, North Carolina, and that's in October. And I just spoke with the ladies over there, and they're like, we're not sure yet. So that's as far out as I know right now. My guess is until there's a vaccine or until there's something where the antibodies are turned into something else, I don't know. But right now, I would assume that we're going to be doing this for a while.
What you said about free is something that everybody needs to take to heart right now, because we had a $5,000 a head conference scheduled for next week on the concierge area at the Bellagio in Vegas, C-Suite Network, and it was called the High Stakes Forum, with a plethora of A-plus speakers, presenters, people I've known from being marketing chair for the National Speakers Association and others. And this is free. It's the 22nd to the 25th. You can find it on our website. And it's from Central Time, 11 to 12:30, 22nd through the 25th. That's an opportunity you couldn't get.
Yep.
And be watching for those, because we did a battleship forum 2 months ago. We were all supposed to be in Norfolk, Virginia. Admirals, generals, and you got it all for free. So watch for those things.
That's also a great resource to share as a follow-up too. So if you have like that come into, those introduction phone calls, come in hot, come in with stuff that you're going to give no matter what.
Exactly. And I have a signature on my signature right now. That's it's a direct link with a little logo that's rotating for the High Stakes Forum.
That's awesome.
And it's just at the end of the email. And you might not want to miss this. And there it is. And that's brought 50 to 60 people that would never have gone to that. So that's a different way of making touches. I really liked your presentation.
Thank you.
Really liked it.
Thank you.
You got to the meat of the matter. MPI's canceled everything into mid-2021.
Yeah.
Meeting Planners International. So it's the person that stays with what you're doing right now. If you're not your own brand machine, if you're not your own PR machine, you will not survive. And I think that's what this is all about. Ashley, when you are in a larger networking group or a larger group, how do you pre-plan, not that you're speaking, but you're going to be in that group? How do you pre-plan for that meeting?
I work with the coordinator figuring out who's going to be in the room. I used to coach and train in improvisation. So a lot of the jokes that I talked about today were just the entertainment factor of it comes from this trash brain. The preparation also comes from knowing and testing a couple different presentations that have now been honed into one. So I have a couple variations depending on the group. So if I'm talking to career transitions people, it's a different presentation. Same concepts, but just the activities are a little bit different. It's interesting. The preparation was not as much as it used to be because I've done 100 presentations in the past year. So free and paid. So I'm constantly working a muscle. The content does change. So my prep for the content is based off of new concepts that I will test for about 2 weeks and then implement into a training. So for example, I have a client that came to me and said, hey, I'm really having a tough time figuring out how to objectively get off the phone with somebody who is a taker who just wants to hear them speak. Now for me, I can pivot, right? Because that's my brain, the way that it works. For him, he needs a list of ways just to start like practicing those best practices to get to the next step. In order for me to objectively train people how to do that aspect and do a deeper dive, I'm going to take that article that I was really interested in from the Harvard Business Review, test out those different topics, put some feedback down, cherry pick the things that make the most sense, that actually work and not are just high-level BS, and then put them into a presentation and then talk about the experience that I had, and maybe how to troubleshoot through it if they come with any objections. So my presentation is based off of things that I have done and things that have worked and not things that haven't worked. If that makes sense.
It does. What's your elevator pitch? What's your 30-second and 90-second?
My elevator pitch? My job before the pandemic was to go to events with clients as an extension of them, to work the room in half the amount of time and double the amount of applicable business cards. Clients will hire me to go to conferences to either speak, to train them how to be there and be the best version of themselves. And then I also used to do the follow-ups for clients as well. So my job is to do the activity that builds the results, that breeds the results of building a network.
Well done.
Thank you very much. I love what I do. I really, really, really.
I think you froze, Ashley. Does anybody else see that? Okay. Ashley? You froze on us, Ashley. Let's see. I'm gonna message her and see if she can turn her video off.
Mute her and unmute her a couple of times. Sometimes that works.
Okay. Won't even let me mute her. Maybe because
she got so excited, she blew up the camera.
Yeah. Does anybody else have any thoughts on what she was talking about? No? Well, how about we, first of all, I want to let you know before I think she's trying to get back on, she has generously offered to give anybody that's on this meeting right now a 15-minute free phone call with her to talk about anything you want. Hey, Ashley, I'm telling you about your free giveaway, by the way. I can hear you now. So would you want to go ahead and tell them more about your free offering for everybody that's on the call right now?
Sure. Yeah, honestly, there's a lot of information that I give, and I know how overwhelming it is. So if you guys want to jump on a 15-minute call, it's really in half an hour, but I say 15 minutes. So you jump on a 15-minute call, ask me, come with questions so we can just bang it out, so that way you guys leave with stuff. But it's free 15 minutes to go through any of the ideas or any of the things that we talked about. And then you're also going to get, because I just put this together and this is really nice, you guys are also going to get a separate webinar that my girlfriend, Bryn Tillman, who's a subject matter expert in LinkedIn, we collaborated on a webinar. You guys are going to get that, so she can show you where to point and click and some really cool tips. A couple of downloadables like checklists and stuff that my virtual assistant just helped me create. So you guys are kind of like the first to see it because just timing wise it worked out. So you're getting a bunch of stuff from me. Just for fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
What other questions do you guys have before we wrap up in a few minutes?
I don't have a question, but a comment. Can we take a group screenshot before we go?
Yeah.
Yeah. Should I get my cat? No, it's done. Okay. He's crying outside. He's like, Mom, you didn't feed me 17 times today.
They win.
Take a shot.
You did? Okay, good. We're good.
Oh.
Awesome. Well, anything else? Last minute thoughts, questions from anyone?
Oh, can I just say one more thing?
Yeah.
Because the pandemic sucks right now and everybody's hurting. It really hurts. If any of you are part of other groups that want this presentation, just let me know.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely will. You've been awesome. Thank you so much again, Ashley, for all your time and your knowledge. You are amazing, hilarious, very knowledgeable. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And thank you to anybody that
Thank you.
isn't part
Thank
of,
you very much.
yes, anybody that currently isn't part of the Young Executives group that wants to be, you can feel free to send an email to youngexecutives@, successnorthdallas.com, and we can get you on our email list and let you know when our next events are. We have them every month. So look forward to seeing you again. Thank you, everybody.
Kirsten, thank you.
And bye.
Bye.